Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be painting a semi-abstract sky and seascape, but watercolour lovers, please look away. Today I'm going to be painting with acrylic. I've wet my board all over and it's Saunders Waterford cold pressed £140 paper, a quarter imperial sheet. It's taped to my board, which is at an angle of about 45 to 60 degrees. Now, using old brushes, because acrylic's not very kind to brushes, I've wet my page all over, and I'm now putting in the sky with a mixture of Galeria Prussian blue, Paynes grey and some burnt umber, and I'm just sweeping it up across the top left corner and all the way across the top in almost diagonal marks and lines, just trying to coax the paint as it flows down, wet the page by gravity through the wet in wet process into cloud shapes, possibly looking like rain showers in the distance. Now, painting with acrylics this way, you can get sort of similar effects to wet in wet watercolour techniques, but not quite as beautiful or quite as diffused. But it still will diffuse if you're careful. So I'm trying to be quite careful and sort of delicate with my brushes here. Trying not to put on the paint too thickly, because of course acrylic's very opaque and can look quite flat if you put too much on using this technique, and it can also get quite muddy. It also dries a lot quicker in the wet and wet process, even on cotton paper, than watercolour paint does. So I'm using fairly large brushes to quite quickly work on the sky, maybe try and sort of lighten some areas by scrubbing the paint around while it's still wet, because I won't be able to do any of that, of course, once it's dry, because acrylic is made of plastic. So it sort of, when it sets and dries, that's where it'll stay. And that's one of the reasons I'm not painting the sea yet, because I want to make sure that I get the sky reasonably where I want it to be before I put the sea in. But I think I'm nearly there at the moment. I think we've got some nice diffusion of paint. Particularly, I like the light coming through against the dark in the top right corner. Just going to see if I can get a bit more continuity with the sort of cloud shapes. Now it's nice and pale on the horizon, so I'm going to just sweep lots of strong paint diagonally from the horizon line down towards the bottom corner, leaving that gap there of sort of dry brush to show the sea. All this area on the lower part, most of this is going to be like the abstract impression of sort of sandy, low tide flats or dunes or something like that. I mean, this is for sure semi-abstract. The colours aren't natural colours. It's all basically blues and browns, but they're colours, and it's a sort of look that really appeals to me. And I find it really useful to experiment with non-local colours sometimes and keep the palette quite monotone, because then you can really work on your lights and your darks, your textures and your tones and your contrasts. And particularly the light really shines out in this one, I think. And while it's all still wet, the tips of a large, damp, clean, flat brush will lift out sort of some lines and sort of accentuate or establish the horizon a little bit more, but also maybe lift out some lines on the beach which give added sense of depth and distance without adding any detail, keeping it nice and simple, as this is just really a quick experiment. It's only the third time I've ever painted with acrylics, so most of it is just having fun and really trying to just see what the paint can do using these techniques. I'm just establishing a very, very thin headland across above the water there, just to sort of enclose the water in, because I'm planning to put a few small yachts on that lake or sea or whatever it is. And pulling a corner of a plastic store card just through the thick paint there also helps to establish the foreground in a really rough and sort of loose way. It's not really anything, as it's the saying something and nothing, but I think it works together in this context to help to make this look like a sort of semi-abstract landscape. It's completely dry now, and sorry about sort of background sound. I'm not sure what that is. It's the next day, and sounds like there's a little bit of interference coming from somewhere. But it's dried quite nicely. I don't think I'm going to do very much to it. I've penciled in some small yachts, 4 yachts in sort of different distances. Just almost on the horizon, just looking as if they're sort of racing across the water. And now I'm just going to simply use some white acrylic just to go over the sails. Very simply this, and I'll just go over the sails with the paint and then just put a little bit of dark shadow underneath the yachts just to add to the effect of them being on the water. In sort of rough water like this, they don't need reflections. Just a little bit of shadow underneath the sails. That one, because there's a little bit of a hull, because it's the closest one, just a bit of shadow under that. And I think that will do. I think that's just enough detail added to it to bring this very simple, very quick seascape together. You've just got the nice dramatic sky and very plain land, but the sparkle on the water really shines out and looks like the light gleaming on it. Now, removing the tape carefully, pulling it away from the painting so it doesn't tear into it, and let's see what we've got. I always like seeing the paint against that white border like that. I think you can then see how the painting has sort of come together with all the lights and the darks and the contrasts and the tones. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. I will, of course, be back with a watercolour demonstration at the weekend, but I just enjoy experimenting sometimes, and I thought I'd share this with you because I know that some of you like to paint with acrylic. I really like the way the paint has diffused in the sky in this. I'm very, very pleased with it. I like the simplicity and how nice and clean this looks. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you click on the bell icon, you'll be notified every time I do a video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you at the weekend. Take care and stay safe and happy painting. Bye.